All right, first off, let's not beat around the bush. Let's not pretend. Let's not play games. That was categorically, unassailably, by far, any adjective that you want to use, that was the literal worst game in Denver Broncos history. The absolute worst game in Denver Broncos history. The Denver Broncos just lost an NFL football game 70-20. On just this last Saturday, we just saw that Colorado was down 42-0 to the Oregon Ducks. And everybody and anybody that knows football understood that Colorado doesn't have the talent, the depth, nor the culture to be able to overcome Oregon and then soon to be USC. They don't have it. It's the first year in the program. These are kids. You got to get a whole new identity on board. This is a team full of multimillionaires. You have former Pro Bowler at quarterback in Russell Wilson. You got Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims. You have a revamped offensive line with Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers. Defensively, Patrick Surtain, Justin Simmons was out, but guess what? You still had multiple people you signed over the last couple of years, even in Zach, and then you got DJ Jones. You have Randy Gregory on the line. You got Alex Singleton to start the game. You got Josie Jewell to start the game. Yet somehow, some way, the Denver Broncos were in a position today where they decided that they were going to be down 50 points through three quarters. 50 points in three quarters. Do you all know how absolutely embarrassing it is to be an NFL franchise and in 2023 where literally people are hoping and praying that you will not embarrass them on a weekly basis? The Denver Broncos have been in the basement of the NFL since 2016, haven't made the playoff since winning the Super Bowl in 2015. So you do all this glamour. You get Sean Payton, you get Russell Wilson 2 years ago. You do get this defense to a place where you feel like you got Vance Joseph, you got complimentary players, you got the linebacker to DB. Everybody, including people in Broncos country, thought this was at least going to be a top 5 to 7 defense this season. And what do? All you've done is get categorically worse. And on top of that, you are the embarrassment of the NFL. The Denver Broncos are the embarrassment of the NFL. You're telling me you know a game is lining up with the Miami Dolphins, who's a great offense, but that's not how football works. 70 points? 70 points. In a college football game, it's considered a blowout if you lose 50-31, 50-20. In the NFL, you give up 70 points. And once again, let me remind people, the NFL record is 72 points. Mike McDaniel, better than me. He's better than me because Mike McDaniel had an opportunity to kick the field goal and deservedly so, get the NFL record 73-point score for the first time in NFL history. And he chose not to because of some NFL culture nonsense, because we don't want to rub it in the coach's face. We respect each other too much to do our job. Well, guess what? If the Denver Broncos truly respected themselves and didn't need a coach doing it for them, then you wouldn't be in a conversation to have an NFL record 73 points put up on you. That wouldn't be a conversation. But the fact of the matter is, you didn't respect yourself enough. You didn't play good enough. You didn't play hard enough. For you to give up 49 points in three quarters of football shows that you were the problem. You chose differently than you should have chosen. Don't blame nobody else. This ain't just about Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, A-Chain, and Tua. They all went off today. Everybody had a career day basically versus you. Everybody. But then you got the audacity to somehow talk about, hey, be fair, be kind, don't take the points. For what? I'm not kidding you. The Denver Broncos have been a literal embarrassment to the city of Denver since the 2017 season. If you want to not do 2016 because they barely missed the playoffs after making the Super Bowl, no problem. But since 2017, this has been a loser franchise. A loser franchise. A loser franchise. Players try to come here, coaches try to come here, and they can't get it done. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, but all I know is when it comes time for putting up and shutting up, they suck. Now, we done been through it. You had the Eagles game with the Broncos, went to Philly, and they put up 40-plus points on you. Everybody was like, man, you getting blown out, something crazy. You had a game where you got shut out to the Chargers of all people, 21-0. Everybody said the same thing. Man, it can't get worse than this. And then you come and pull up today in an NFL game and get 49 points put on you in 3 quarters and 70 points in a game? Let's stop it. And this is not even about, let me just speak as from the fan standpoint. It's embarrassing to have to deal with a franchise that continues to perform like this every single year. Every single year, they embarrass the city. Every single year, Broncos fans are getting their hopes up. Every single year, Broncos fans are hoping against hope that you're going to do different, that you're going to act different, that you're going to play different, that you're going to sound different. Every single year, they go through this process with this organization. You get new management in play. Bet. You get a new coach in play. Bet. You get a new quarterback in play. Bet. You got the best corner in the NFL, Patrick Surtain. You got Sutton. You got Tim Patrick. You got Jerry Jeudy. You got Marvin Mims. You got Greg Dulcich. You get Mike McGlinchey. You get Ben Powers. Then obviously Garrett Bowles is back. Javonte is back. Clearly, you got to be worth something. Clearly, something got to be different. But nothing changes. Not only that, you got worse. And you embarrassed not just yourself, you embarrassed the city. It is unbelievable to me, that somehow, some way, the Broncos were able to go on the field today and put up that kind of performance in an NFL game, knowing that all the expectation was on you. You already gave up a 32-3 run last week, Vance Joseph. Last week to the Washington Commanders. The week before, Will Lesh cost you 4 points, and you end up losing the game, scoring 16 points and giving up 17. Now, after that, everybody can kind of get with it. All right, bet. Maybe they'll get better as the season goes on. Maybe things will get better. Nothing gets better. It's gotten worse and worse. And I can tell you this right now. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected for the Denver Broncos to look this bad today. Somebody might not have expected them to win. I didn't even expect them to win. But for you to come out like this and to be this embarrassed, it is unbelievable. And by the way, George Paton is not exempt from this. George Paton has been here for 2 full seasons now at this point, and he has absolutely been a part of the reason why they're embarrassed. The receiving core has been putrid. The offensive line signing, McGlinchey, has looked terrible the first 3 weeks of the year. Ben Powers. We're doing all this talking around the issue. But the issue is this roster is not talented enough. The issue is the fact that the people that you have selected aren't good enough. That's just a fact. And so we can beat around the bush all we want, but the talent discrepancy is clear. A-Chain, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle didn't even play today. So what happens if Jalen plays today? What happened if Jalen Waddle plays today? How many points do you give up then? You gave up 70 points when they didn't have their second best offensive player on the field today. What happens if he plays today? So here is my biggest gripe with where things stand currently for the Denver Broncos, is that we have been told a lie for 8 straight seasons. What do you mean by this, Swipa? What do you mean a lie? What do you mean you've been told a lie for 8 straight seasons? We have been campaigning for them to take a quarterback high in the draft. We have been campaigning for them to go young and go cheap and build around those players. But every single year, they try to convince us Simeon is the answer. Brock Osweiler is the answer. They try to convince us Kyle Orton is the answer. Case Keenum is the answer. We don't want to go get Josh Allen because we're worried that we might ruin him. Every year it's an excuse. Every single year, Joe Flacco, he's the answer. We have been listening to you talk and talk about the improvements that you are going to make every single offseason. And even this offseason, we heard from Sean Payton's mouth that he's going to be very upset if the Denver Broncos are not a playoff team this year. Well, guess what? Not only are you not a playoff team, right now, you are in position to be the worst team in the NFL. The worst team in the NFL. And you should be the worst team in the NFL. You are going to be in contention not for the playoffs. You're going to be in contention. You're going to be in contention for the worst team in the league and the number 1 overall draft pick. That's exactly the conversation that you are in. And that's what you should absolutely feel every bit of this heat, because this is embarrassing. Embarrassing. I had to literally watch to open the game up. Tyreek Hill, a 54-yard reception. Could Dorian Turner-Yell misread with his responsibility in the coverage? And so 54 yards, you're down 7-0. Next thing you know, you're down 14-0 within the first 6 minutes of the first quarter. Y'all, the team just isn't good enough. I said this last week. I said it last week. I said it in the Raiders game. The team isn't good enough. Everybody that's worth something on this roster, and if you want to keep Patrick Surtain out of that because you feel like he's too valuable to keep on your roster, then whatever. But everybody else, it has to be a fire sale. Everybody else, there has to be a conversation that these players can go, because there's just no more. You can't keep playing around about it. You have to tank. You have to. We are no longer going to be in a situation where the fan base, every single year, the Denver Broncos have been selling out every home game for the last 40 years. And you got people abandoning their tickets on thousands of fans every single year because of this nonsense. And you want people just to stay in the fight with you. And I don't want to hear this. I already know, press conference, we didn't play hard enough today. We weren't prepared today. I didn't do enough of a job to get them prepared today. But this is on leadership. This is on Paton. This is on Vance Joseph. And some of this is also on Sean Payton for hiring Vance Joseph. But again, this defense has been doing this since the Rams Christmas Day game where they gave up 50-plus points. And yes, again, for everybody here, everybody listening on Twitter, everybody watching this on YouTube, yes, they have their first-round pick. The Denver Broncos have their first-round pick. So yes, they have the ability to continue to suck, not try and suck, continue to suck, purposely try to play hard, but you will continue to suck because you're not good enough. So they are very much within their reason to give up. Look, listen to this. This is from Andrew Mason. Andrew Mason on Twitter for denversports.com. Let me give y'all some information that you can walk away with. Today, the Denver Broncos allowed the franchise record in points allowed, 70 points. Today, the Denver Broncos gave up a franchise record for yards allowed in the game at 670. 670. The Dolphins set an NFL record for the most all-purpose yards in a game today, per StatMuse, of 735. 735 total yards they gave up today. 735 total yards. And from Nick Kosmider from The Athletic, he says, that was embarrassing. Sean Payton said that was embarrassing and tough to watch. Oh, was it? Was it embarrassing and tough to watch? So you mean to tell me that the Miami Dolphins are the second team since at least 1940 for Tony Holman from the front office NFL? The Miami Dolphins are the second team since at least 1940 with 300-plus pass yards and 300-plus rush yards in a single game. The other was the 49ers in 2012. You mean to tell me that was tough to watch for you? That was difficult to watch for you? What about preparation? What about pride? More from Nick Kosmider. Payton, I'm at a loss for words. Every once in a while in the NFL, you get your butt kicked. But today was different. Today, Mike Clay, fantasy football purposes. I know y'all love fantasy football. Mike Clay, 51.3 fantasy points for Devon Achane today. And he didn't even lead the backfield in snaps. Unreal showing by the Miami offense, but a historically poor showing for the Denver defense. Wow. Wow. The Denver Broncos gave up 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 touchdowns today. They gave up 10 touchdowns today. What's the conversation? What's the conversation? More from Nick Kosmider, from Sean Payton. Tomorrow will be a tough day for a lot of players and tough for us as coaches. We have to look closely at what we are doing. We got to get to the tape. It's unacceptable. Hey, guess what? Let me tell you right now, tape ain't helping this. Tape ain't helping this. Tape ain't helping this. Talent, that's the issue. Talent will want to. That's the issue. The Arizona Cardinals look more prepared. It looked like they're playing harder than the Denver Broncos. Josh Dobbs, their quarterback. James Conner, Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz. Is that impressing you? The defense, nobody to write home about except for Budda Baker. They all play harder. You lost to the Raiders, who got embarrassed by the Bills. You lost to the Commanders, who got embarrassed by the Bills. We are past the point of pretending what this team is, pretending what this season is, pretending what the issue is. The issue is leadership starts with George Paton. They haven't done a good enough job. The free agent signings haven't mattered. They haven't. The draft picks, they haven't mattered. The injuries, they're still here. You can't help injuries 1,000%. Obviously, you want everybody to get healthy, but it hasn't mattered. Mike McGlinchey has looked bad in every game he's played in so far. $80 million a year. Did you see Zach Allen, DJ Jones today? Alexander Singleton, Josie Jewell. Jamari Mathis, who you told us, you said he was an adequate replacement at the number 2 corner position. And then maybe he'll get better as the season goes on, as his career goes on. You want that for him. But he's been bad. He's been bad. The offense has been moving the ball. They've been scoring well. But you know what? It's mid. The offensive pieces are mid. Cortland Sutton, 2 fumbles today. I don't really care about the stat line and the other things he's done. Leader, captain on the team, 2 fumbles. It's not good enough. 2 fumbles. Last year, the Seahawks game, false starts. It's just too much. Like, it's just too much. And again, every player that plays for the Broncos deserves respect as a human being. It has nothing to do with that. This is about your play. And the play is bad. It's awful. And your play has translated to the worst team in football. The worst team in football. So I think this is what we have to face, is that I believe, and I've been of the mindset, that the Denver Broncos should be doing whatever they have to do to tank for Caleb Williams. Now, they're just not, but again, they're not even doing anything. You're just not good enough. You don't have the talent. You don't have the talent. You don't have the personnel. You don't have the roster. And so at this point, the most logical conclusion is that whatever needs to happen, everybody go ahead. Whatever you got to do to get Caleb Williams on this roster, and then from there, build up the receiving core, get an elite receiver, you build up the offensive line for real, get a true running game solidified, and then you build up the defense. You go cheap everywhere except for your D-line, your O-line, your secondary, and really that's your main focus right there. Your D-line, O-line, and your secondary. And then you literally go cheap and you draft. I just can't continue to pretend and to watch this level of putrid, awful, disgusting, bad football. The execution is poor. The care factor is poor. You give up 50 points in 3 quarters, it's poor. It's just simple. You don't care enough. If you give up 50 points, if you give up 300 rushing yards, 300 passing yards, Tua started 16 of 16. 16 of 16. It's over. Stop pretending. Keep playing hard. Keep giving your best. But your best is currently, and again, let me make sure I say this, your best is currently the worst in the NFL. That's what your best is. Your best is currently the worst in the NFL. That's just what it is. And I think that everybody has seen the light. Everybody is aware of what's happening. Everybody sees the talent discrepancy, and everybody should be on the same page that by any means necessary, we're going to improve through the draft. We're going to target players that will help us in the draft, and we're going to take care of business by building up this roster the way it should have been built up in 2016, targeting young, very, very good assets, starting with the quarterback, starting with receiver, starting with your offensive line and D-line, and then starting with your secondary. You target those 4 spots, and you go from there. I don't want to watch this anymore, but I have to, and I will, because I'm from Denver, and also this is my job now. The same way with you all. I love this team. I love this city. But this city deserves better than what the Broncos have been allowing us to see for the last several seasons. And these last 8 seasons, enough is enough. 70 points. 70 points. They should have given up an NFL record, 73 points today. An NFL record for the amount of yards in the game. Or at least the franchise record for the amount of yards in the game. It can't be anymore. It has to stop. It has to end. And by any means necessary, it's time to get better through the draft. And I don't think anybody should be sitting through this anymore and pretending. Everybody should be pressing the same questions. Why are we watching this? Why is this happening? Why have we been in purgatory for the last 8 seasons? Why are we pretending? Why are we lying to ourselves? The talent isn't there. Okay, bet. Well, instead of adding pieces and trading for players, trade folks away. You know what? Jerry Jeudy deserved better. Cortland Sutton, everybody. They all deserve better than the situations they're in. Sometimes a relationship is between 2 people who might love each other. But in this relationship, they're not good for each other. And these players, this organization hasn't been good for each other. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's not good enough. You don't have the talent. You don't have the culture. You don't have the belief system. And Sean Payton, he deserves to be able to start off on the right front and not have to deal with this, yo. David talked about George Payton as a terrible GM. He has to go. I think so. I think the conversation is over. I think that whole conversation is over. And even if he's good at it, he hasn't been good enough. And I'm not even saying good enough to be passable, but good enough as in, yo, can we not be the worst team in football through the first 3 weeks? Vance Joseph, the defense, all of it. The talent, no pass rushers. Randy Gregory, no real pass rush. Jonathan Cooper, Frank Clark, who's out with injuries. I mean, it's just not good enough. And then Zach Allen and DJ Jones, you just gave us 300 yards rushing. So unless something changes, I'm talking about from 0 to 100, Drake style, everything needs to go. Everything needs to go, y'all. But look, y'all my people, Swipa Gang, Mile High Sports, Locked On Nuggets community, everybody. We're all in this together. We all are watching this abysmal reality show together. The Broncos gave up 70 points and 670 yards today, both a franchise record. Awful, putrid, disappointing destruction of a football game. It wasn't college. This was the NFL, and they gave up 70 points in the game, y'all. Swipa Gang, you know what time it is. I will see y'all